New, and welcome to another video. This is yours truly, and in this video I want to talk about the Freedom Convoy in Canada. I've been watching a lot of news channels coming out of Canada. CTV, the CBC, City News, I think that's a radio station. I think that's also a news channel. Yeah, I've been hearing it on the BBC World Service in the UK. A lot of outlets. And I did a video about this, so I'm going to do another video again because a lot of things have happened with this Freedom Convoy. It started out as just some truckers who complain about the COVID-19 vaccine mandate that the government in Canada implemented. Some were against it who were in the convoy, and some were okay with it. So they're perfectly fine with it. And actually, this COVID-19 vaccine mandate that Canada implemented, well, it works like this, and this is what I heard. Canadian truckers who cross the border into Canada, they cross the border into Canada and they deliver goods to anywhere in the US, anywhere in the States. After that, when they return to Canada, they have to self-quarantine for how many days, I don't remember. And I think one trucker from Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, talked about this, and he said that it didn't make any sense. And also, I heard about the Ambassador Bridge between Detroit, Michigan, the U.S., and Windsor, Ontario, which is Canada. It's been like clogged up and backed up and paralyzed by the Freedom Convoy. And in Ottawa, it's really bad. Lot of truckers, lot of people who aren't truckers. During this Freedom Convoy, and they're complaining about they're honking their horns in their cars, driving everybody crazy who lives in Ottawa. Honking their horns on their cars until the horns on their cars stop working. I think I watched one YouTube video of some idiot, one of the idiots in Kelowna, BC. They honked their horn on their cars so many times, like the car horn just sounds funny, and because like it doesn't work properly anymore because they've been honking the horn for like how many times. And a lot of people who are in this convoy all over Canada are doing this. Vancouver, Kelowna, Winnipeg, Ottawa. I think that's about it, but Ottawa is really bad. I mean, the entire city is completely paralyzed by these Freedom Convoy protesters. And they're doing all this just to force the hand of Justin Trudeau and all the politicians in Parliament Hill to drop the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. And one of them talked about, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to beat them. And and Justin Trudeau. I mean, I'm not a fan of Justin Trudeau. I think he's phony and he sucks. He's not budging. And I think I saw him like he went on live TV, I think, and he said this. Saw this on YouTube, and he talked about I think he's saying it. I think him or one of the politicians talked about. I think one politician, not Justin Trudeau, but I can't remember what Justin Trudeau said about it. But I can remember what one of the politicians in Parliament Hill said about the Freedom Convoy protesters, calling them a bunch of thugs, mischievous thugs, and he was just going on and on, just bashing them, and you got these conservative politicians that they're just using this Freedom Convoy to play political games with the people, and I look at this Freedom Convoy thing, I think those people are not supporting the truckers. They're just supporting their own selfish personal game. I think that's what they're doing. And wow, yeah, and they just don't want to let up. I mean, it's like they're gonna stay there. They're gonna stay where they're at, honking horns on their cars, pickup trucks, and some of the truckers in their semis or semis are just honking the horns, driving normal, regular people crazy. People can't sleep. They're disturbing people who have a mental illness, like elderly people. It's just bad. I mean, it's not as bad as the storming of the U.S. Capitol by the Trump supporters in Washington D.C. last year. It's not as bad as that. It's kind of civil and it's kind of civil, but it's just completely just out of control and insane. And those people in those Freedom Convoy, they want to talk about freedom. Oh, we're fighting for our freedoms and we're fighting for the freedom of our children. Freedom, the smell of freedom. And it's funny, I saw this guy who had a motorhome. He's in Kelowna, BC. He's like, saw this on YouTube. Some guy's YouTube channel, it shows a video of a guy filming the version of the Freedom Convoy in Kelowna, BC, and this guy's like making hot chocolate and drinking it and saying, "Cheers, freedom, the smell of freedom, freedom." Then I saw some slutty woman in a pickup truck whistling, and say, yeah, baby, yeah, freedom, yeah, baby. She just, ugh, man. Those Canadian women are just, ugh, I just want to talk about, they're just disgusting. Some of them, not all of them. Not feminine at all, kind of manly. Well, anyway, yeah. This Freedom Convoy, all it is, I mean, it started out as some truckers who were against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Truckers who were against it, and it just exploded into this crazy Freedom Convoy movement. Just recruiting like regular people who drive cars and pickup trucks. Then I think I said this thing, in Ottawa, the Freedom Convoy is it's just completely packed out, cars, trucks, and semis are just parked on city streets like suck sticks. And I also heard about like some of the Freedom Convoy protesters, like some of them were urinating on the war memorial around Parliament Hill in Ottawa, and also in Ottawa, they defaced a statue of Terry Fox, the guy who ran across Canada, who had like a fake prosthetic leg. I mean, and he got this fake prosthetic leg because he had cancer, and the cancer spread to one of his legs that led to one of his legs amputated. And I think he died of cancer. And before that, like he ran across Canada, and yeah, a statue of him was defaced. Like they had like a Canadian flag tied around the statue, like Superman's cape. And they put something on the head of the statue, like total disrespect. I mean, yeah, like, yeah, and the funny thing about this is like doing that Freedom Convoy, blockade, paralyzed blockade in Ottawa. People like they have people giving food to people, food to the homeless, and they have food out like in Buck. They have food out like sitting next to a semi that's parked. And I watched some guy on YouTube, some bald-headed white guy on YouTube, don't know his name, and he's Canadian. He talked about the food that was left out. He said, "You gotta get this food before this food goes bad." Yeah, like food for people, like the Freedom Convoy protesters and the homeless. You got people like cooking hot dogs and hamburgers and making hot chocolate. Then the crazy thing about it is like children were playing around in jungle gyms, bouncing jungle gyms, and like jungle gyms with colorful balls in it. Kids were playing around, people's children were playing around in it. Like, I look at this, it doesn't look like a protest, it looks like a circus. Yeah, look like a freaking parade. That's what this looks like. And it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, and this Freedom Convoy thing, it got support from other countries. Conservative people in my country, the U.S., are supporting this. You got people in France are supporting this. You got people in New Zealand are supporting this. And I saw some. I went on. I went on a YouTube channel that showed a Freedom Convoy protest in New Zealand, in Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, and it showed like people like singers like playing a guitar and singing. Kids having like jungle gyms and playpens for children. Serving food. The police are surrounding the New Zealand Parliament. Like, and I'm looking at New Zealand like, okay, they got truckers who are not, the people are complaining about the I think the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. I don't know. They were I think they were complaining about that. Like they were complaining about that. The children, I think crap. Let's see. The people. Let's see. They were. Okay. They were like. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Regular people in New Zealand were complaining, protesting because about the Freedom Convoy because they were They were inspired by the Freedom Convoy in Canada, And in New Zealand, it's kind of hilarious, you know. I saw signs like Jacinda Ardern is crazy and take your vaccine mandates and shove them up your arse. This is funny. And I'm looking at this. And I'm looking at this like, I mean, what are these people in New Zealand are complaining about? Like, okay, in Canada, okay, truckers who are against Canada's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Some were against it who are in the convoy, and some who are not in the convoy are perfectly fine with it. Like, okay, you know, they have to travel. They can cross the border and travel into the U.S. and deliver their goods. And when they return to Canada, return back to Canada, they have to self-quarantine. And, you know, and I'm looking at New Zealand, like, okay, the truckers in New Zealand, I'm saying to myself, like, okay, like, they, along with the people in New Zealand, you know, right-wing Kiwis, because, you know, this Freedom Convoy thing is just right-wing, just anti-vaxxers who are just against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate restrictions in their country, along with France. I think France, like, lifted their mask mandates. I don't know. Going back to New Zealand, like, I mean, okay, these truckers in New Zealand, okay, they can't cross a border and go to another country because they're on an island. New Zealand's an island nation. Like, they're surrounded by water. Like, what country these truckers are gonna go to? I mean, they can't go to Australia. They're just stuck on an island. Maybe they can travel to Australia through a car ferry. I don't know. I don't know if that exists or not. So I don't know. So I don't know about like how truckers in New Zealand and Australia go to each other's countries. So I don't know. And I remember I said something that made no sense in a comment. Building a Eurotunnel style tunnel underneath the Tasman Sea to connect Australia with New Zealand. And I think one Kiwi online, I was talking about this in a comment on a YouTube video about New Zealand trucks, and one of the Kiwis scolded me about it, and they told me that, oh, it doesn't make any sense because Australia and New Zealand are 4,000 kilometers apart, and building a tunnel underneath the Tasman Sea doesn't make any sense. So why do we need this? And we can just fly between the two on an airplane. And there's too much movement in the Tasman Sea. Movement means earthquakes. And I think in the Pacific, an earthquake erupted and water and it triggered a tsunami and it led to flooding in the U.S., New Zealand. Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Someone came in, so I had to stop the camera. Okay, where was I? What I was talking about? Okay, New Zealand and Australia, the Freedom Convoy. I think I was talking about, let's see, yeah, the New Zealand truckers, yeah, I was talking about like how they're gonna travel to other countries, and they're on an island. How are they gonna get to Australia? Because I think that's the only country they go to. Like, I don't know, they travel through on a car ferry, but you know the Eurotunnel style tunnel under the Tasman Sea between Australia and New Zealand. It doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of dangerous because of earthquakes. I mean, a Kiwi told me that there's too much movement. I think they're talking about earthquakes. They just said movement, so movement means earthquakes, and it doesn't make sense to connect the two countries under the Tasman Sea with the with a Eurotunnel style tunnel like the UK and France. Like what worked in the UK and France won't work with Australia and New Zealand because they're 4,000 kilometers apart from one another. They're on there's earthquakes happening in the Tasman Sea, and yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's dangerous. I mean, we just fly between the two countries, but the situation with New Zealand truckers traveling out of their country is, it's very questionable to me because I don't know how New Zealand truckers head to Australia. I mean, I don't know if this happens or this doesn't happen. I don't know. Yeah, and I was talking, yeah, the Earth, yeah, a volcano erupted in the Pacific that triggered a tsunami that led to flooding in a part of California, Southern California, and also in Australia and New Zealand. So yeah. Anyway, this Freedom Convoy thing in New Zealand is kind of comical, you know, a parade style thing, carnival style thing, people driving on the roads, honking their horns, flying the flag of New Zealand upside down, and talk about taking your vaccines and shove up your arse that's on their cars, and Jacinda Ardern is a lunatic, she's mad or whatever. Yeah, just like basically, just right wing garbage from anti vaxxers. Yeah, this spread from Canada to New Zealand to France. And in France, I heard about this. France. In France, regular people are against, wearing masks, and they're against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, and they want the country to drop that along with I think other countries in Europe. I think can't remember those other countries that dropped the mask mandate, whatever. I don't know. I heard yeah, in France they have a Freedom Convoy style thing that made them that inspired them by Canada. So anti-vaxxers and the yellow vest protesters are going to like all meet together in Paris, Gay Palais. They're gonna meet together in Paris and form a Canadian style Freedom Convoy. That's what I heard. I saw this on France 24 English. I look at this Freedom Convoy thing, and in Canada and New Zealand and France, I don't know, other countries are following suit. But I look at this whole thing, this Freedom Convoy thing. It just, in Canada, it just basically just a bunch of right wing people, bunch of racist people, anti-vaxxers, and and people in Canada are fully vaccinated, and this Freedom Convoy was started by a bunch of truckers who were just against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate in their country. They were against it, and truckers who weren't against it, I mean, they had no problem with it, and they're talking about freedom, freedom, freedom. This whole freedom thing, this Freedom Convoy is all a sham anyway. And I have seen, I look at New Zealand, and I see New Zealand for what it is. That Freedom Convoy thing in that country, just basically a bunch of anti-vaxxers, right-wing people. Same thing in Canada and in France as well. In France, they're trying to force Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, trying to force his hand on it. And in Canada, they're trying to force Justin Trudeau's hand, and in New Zealand, they're trying to force Jacinda Ardern's hand. You know, I just look at all of this. It's just the whole thing is just completely insane. It's ridiculous. You know, I look at these people in this Freedom Convoy. They're just nuts. You know, and they think they're like, in Canada, they think they're standing up for like working class people who are struggling and suffering. You know, they're not standing up for those people. They're just standing up for their own political personal game. That's all this is. You know, I don't know when this. I hope this Freedom Convoy thing in Canada ends because I don't see it ends. I mean, these people are not going to leave Ottawa. The Freedom Convoy, Canadian protesters in Ottawa, I don't think they're leaving and going home. And I don't think I don't think Kiwis in New Zealand are going to leave Wellington. And I don't think the the yellow vest protesters and the and regular anti-vaxxer people are leaving. I don't think they're going to leave in Paris. I don't think that's not going to happen. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I know one thing. They're not gonna do what people in do what the Trump supporters did in the U.S. Capitol in Washington last year, 2021 January. I think they're not gonna do what they did at all. So yeah, I decided to make a video on this. I hope this is not medical misinformation or anything. I hope I'm because I've been watching all of this on YouTube, been reading about this. So I don't know what the algorithm and the machines that are programmed to nail people for violations on YouTube for posting misleading and hateful violent content. So I don't know what they're gonna say on this video. The good thing is, I have a strike that was removed from my channel, so that strike expired, I think, on the 7th of this month, February. So I got one left, and that expires in March. I just hope I can make it to March without getting another strike. So, yeah, so this Freedom Convoy thing that started as a bunch of truckers in Canada complaining about Canada's COVID-19 vaccine mandate has exploded into this Freedom Convoy that recruited regular people, that led to a lot of people and truckers and semis honking their horns and occupying and crippling and paralyzing Ottawa and other parts of Canada. And this 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 just spilled into other countries like New Zealand and France, who are inspired by this, and they're having their own Freedom Convoy protesting. So yeah, Canada and New Zealand is very cartoonish, very circus like, carnival like, amusement park like, parade festival like. And in France, it's pretty like, pretty normal, you know, with the yellow vest protesters along with the anti-vaxxers and the yellow vest protesters. Yeah, I remember they protest back in 2018 over the fuel hike of the gas tax from French President Emmanuel Macron. And they were protesting in Paris, destroying everything, and that scared Emmanuel Macron. That led to him to go on live TV that said that he's going to raise the minimum wage to €1,000, which the Parisians, the yellow vest protesters, didn't approve and they didn't like it. They said it was a joke. And I view that as a joke as well. So yeah. So this Freedom Convoy thing is insane. It's ridiculous. It's silly. You know, and I think some people in the U.S. aren't reporting this. You know, and yep, people on Fox News like Tucker Carlson that spreading lies or telling the truth on this, but they're spreading lies about this. I don't watch them. I don't care for them. Boy, I remember hearing this man on I think on Global News, CTV, or the CBC in Canada. This old man in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Um, he said this was so funny. I think I can quote what he's saying. He said, "There's a civil war. We got guns and we'll bring them out." I think in one of the far right Freedom Convoy trucker protesters. It's so hilarious. Yeah. Oh Canada. Oh Canada. Why are you so messed up? You got people in your capital in semis, pickup trucks and cars with Canadian flags all over them. Some are upside down, honking their horns like idiots, like lunatics. Honk, 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 honk. Freedom! Freedom! We have freedom! Freedom! That's what we're all about. Freedom! Serving hot dogs, hamburgers to people for food, donating food to people. The Freedom Convoy protesters, their children playing in jungle gyms and bouncing foam castles, music playing. It's just a big circus. It's just a big cartoonish circus. And this is going on in cities all over Canada, just like in Kelowna, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Ottawa, and Toronto. It's so comical. It's just a cartoon. Man. Oh, Canada, you are so cartoonish, ridiculous, and silly with your Freedom Convoy. And the politicians who are liberal and NDP, I mean, they're not amused at this at all. They don't like this, and normal, regular people are just going nuts. I mean, hearing people honk, 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 honk their horns all the time. Jesus, like, that can make you go crazy. Like, that could destroy your hearing, make you go deaf when you get old. My God, thank God I don't live in that mess. Thank God my ancestors didn't decide to go with Harriet Tubman through the Underground Railroad to Canada. But if they did, I'll be living in somewhere in Canada putting up with this shit. But thank God I live in the U.S. and, you know, the U.S. is shit too. It's a shitty country, so it's just as shitty as Canada. You know, both the U.S. and Canada, they both suck. You know, and all these countries, I say, like, you know, New Zealand and Canada, you know, they're right-wing people. Well, Canada, especially, I think the people there, I think they're one of those people who comment on one of my videos about Canada and they spread lies and they say a lot of bullshit and telling me that indigenous people in Canada, First Nation people, have their own healthcare system. Whatever. So anyway, that's my thought on this Freedom Convoy thing. Yeah. So, that's all I gotta say on this video. Cheers and au revoir. Bye.